Today I'm going to show you how to make your first beat on the Roland Verselab MV-1.
Free beat.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome to Free Beat. Today's patron shoutout goes to ALW Tunes. Thank you so very much for the support. Let's get started. Alright, today's going to be a simple one. I'm just going to show you how to make your first beat, how to really get started creating music with the Verselab MV-1, because it's not the most intuitive device straight out of the box, so I figured maybe a little tutorial might come in handy. I've been using the Verselab a lot more lately, so I figured I'd try to help any new Verselab users out there. So the first thing we want to do is load a new project. So up here, if we click the load button, we can actually use the value knob to scroll between the different settings, and we want to go to New. Click New. I am not going to save the current project they had because it was just me messing around, so I click New. It's going to take a few seconds to load a blank, empty project, and then we'll be ready to go. Also, really quick, rather than explaining what every single button does here, I'm just going to focus on what we need to do to make the beat today, and then I might do some more in-depth content in the future. So, as you can see, the kick drum track is selected by default when we open up a new project. You do have a couple options for making a beat. You could sequence a kick track, then switch to a snare track, then switch to the hi-hat track, sequence that, and that's how you could get started with your drums. But for beginners, I recommend starting with the kit track. That is going to put a different drum sample on each of the 16 pads here. So let's get started sequencing, and then I'll show you how to change the kit to one that you might like a little better. So let's select our kick drum here. We can tell it's selected because the pad is red. Then we can move down to the step sequencer. Let's go ahead and put in a 4 on the floor pattern, which means we're going to put the steps on 1, beat 2, which is pad 5, beat 3, which is pad 9, and beat 4, which is pad 13. By the way, we'll be counting through the sequencer like this: 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and... Now, before we hit play, let's set a tempo that we like. So to access tempo, we need to hold Shift and press the sequence button. You can see it says tempo under that. The words under these buttons here are the shift function. So we hold Shift, press sequence to enter tempo. You can see my BPM is set to 70. So if I click in the knob and then scroll, I can set that to whatever I want. I'm going to select 120 to keep things simple. Click in the value knob again. There we go. This is also where we can change options such as the ability to have a count-in when we're live recording. We can also toggle the metronome on and off just in general. You can select the metronome level, the metronome type, too. To get out of this, just press Exit. Now let's hit play. Now we can hear our kick drum going. Let's select the snare drum by selecting the snare drum, which is on pad 2 on this kit. We're going to put it on beat 2, or pad 5, and beat 4, or pad 13. Okay, let's select our hi-hat now, which is the pad 3 up here. We're going to put in eighth notes. What that means is basically we're going to put it on every other step starting on beat 1 here. So 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, and 15. There's our basic drum pattern. You can always hit play when you want to stop your pattern too, by the way. So now let me show you how to change drum kits. If you click on Section Select right here, all of a sudden we can now see that the screen says Trap Kit 2, which is the current kit that I have selected. Let's change the kit. So to do that, we want to click Enter. Now we're in the browser. We want to go into Preset, and then we also want to go into All Number or All Alphabet. That means, do we want to search by kit number, or do we want to search alphabetically? Let's just go All Number. Now we can see I was on a kit that's called 90s Kit Comp or Compression. So let's hit play. We can hear what that sounds like, and we can just start simply scrolling through kits. Your more traditional kits seem to be closer to the front. There we go. Let's keep the trance kit on there. Now we want to click Enter to select it. Okay? Just like that, we've changed our kit. We can now go back to note mode over here and hear the other sounds on the kit too. Press play to stop our pattern. Let's add a bass now. So to do that, we want to access the bass track. Let's click bass, and now we have a bass instrument selected. However, I don't like that one very much. Let's go ahead and change it. So to do that, we simply click in the value knob, we go to preset, and now instead of going to all number or all alphabet, if we keep scrolling, we can see different categories of sounds. Let's go to synth bass. We can simply just start scrolling through our presets now. Go ahead and find one you like. If you want to change the octave that the pads are playing, simply hold shift and use the measure buttons. You can see the shift functions are octave down and octave up. I'm going to use this sound here, Razor Bass Lead 4, which is F84. Go ahead and hit enter to select the sound. Now let's go ahead and pick a key and scale for our song, which is actually going to make it so we can't really play a wrong note here when we're playing the sound on the pads. By the way, you can also plug a MIDI controller like a keyboard into the Verselab and play the sounds more traditionally. To change the key and scale, we need to hold edit and press note. Now we can see it's asking us to pick a key. Let's stick with C, but let's turn the knob and change our scale. Let's go C minor. As you can see, there are many other scales to choose from, but we will just stick with minor today. That's all we need to do in this menu. Let's click exit, and now you can see that the pads containing our root note, in this case C, have a slightly different color than the other pads, and the currently selected pad will always be red, just like on our kit track. Now, rather than sequencing a pattern here, let's go ahead and play one in. We can hit play and then start practicing. I like something like that. Since we're going to be live playing it, let's make sure that we get a proper count in so we can nail our timing when we come in. To do that, we hold shift, click on sequence to access the tempo menu, and we want to scroll until we see count in and just make sure that it's on. Also, if you'd like to, you can turn on a metronome for when you're actually playing as well, but I'm going to leave that off for now. Click exit. If you were paying attention, you may have noticed that the pattern I was playing is actually 2 measures long instead of 1. So we need to adjust the track length for this given track. The track length is specific to the tracks, which is really nice. You can choose from 0 all the way up to 128 steps. To change that, go ahead and hold edit and then click on the measure forward button. Now, we've got different parameters for our measure here, including swing or shuffle as Roland calls it, but we want step length. Click that in and go from 16 up to 32. That gives us 2 measures of 4/4 to work with. Press exit and let's get ready to play. To arm for live recording, simply press record. You'll see the button lights up. And now when we hit play, we're going to get 4 clicks counting us off, and then we're going to be ready to play. Here we go. Press record again to toggle recording off. If you have multiple measures, you can view them by simply tabbing through them with the measure forward and measure backward buttons. So there's measure 2, measure 1, and you can see the little lights here will light up depending on what measure you're on. Let's go ahead and use one of our instrument tracks to add an arpeggio now. So I'm going to click on instrument 1. By default, we've got this nice bell sound, but we can pick something else by clicking enter, going preset, and then picking our category. Let's choose, how about bell pad? D50 Fantasia. Nice, that's G228 for the preset number if you're wondering. Click enter to select it. Now we're going to use the style mode here. What that's going to do is switch the pads to style mode. Styles can be as simple as a basic arpeggiator, but they can actually get pretty complex. To edit the style, hold Edit and click Style. You can see I was on style 51 there. So if I scroll all the way back to 1, we can hear what they all are. Some of them might not have very obvious differences from the others, but the more you play around, especially adding in different notes, you'll start to notice how they are all different from each other. I'm going to go with number 3, and if I click in the knob to get out of the style select, I can actually go to other pages in here, including variation. All of the styles have different variations you can choose from as well. Sure, I like that one, nice and simple. You can also pick a motif, which is basically how the style plays. So right now I have it set to up, but there's also down, up and down, random, note order, glissando, chord, and auto, and phrase. Let's stick with random. I always love random. And you can also turn on hold for your style, as well as velocity, octave range, and a whole bunch of other functions too. You can get super in-depth with it, but for now, we're just going to keep it right here. Now, I'm also going to set this track to 2 measures long because I think I want it to play a little longer. So we're going to hold Edit and use the Measure Forward button to once again adjust our step length to 32. Press Exit. And now we're ready to record. So arm it for recording by pressing record. We're going to hit play, and then I'm going to play some notes in. Here we go. Not bad. Now, what I really like about the style function is it actually sequences the notes, so you can actually see what it's playing. So if I go to the second measure here, I don't like this last note because it's the same as the first note. So we're going to change that note by holding Edit and clicking on that note. Now we can actually use the controls here to change the note. Let's set it to a G. You can also change the length, as well as the velocity, and a few other functions. Let's try it again and hit play. Much better. And there you go. That is how you make your first beat on the Roland Verselab MV-1. Hopefully that is enough to get you up and running. It starts off feeling kind of unintuitive, but the more you use it, the more you adjust to it, and I think the easier it gets. It's really quite a powerful instrument. There's so many incredible presets in here, and I'm really starting to enjoy it. Like I said, I do recommend using a MIDI controller with it. I have mine set up next to my main desk, so I've actually run my Arturia Keylab Essential Mark III to it via 5-pin MIDI, so I can play all the sounds, and I've been having a blast with the setup. I do hope you found this video informative or at least entertaining. If you did, be sure to leave a like on it. If not, you can always leave a dislike. That's okay too. Doesn't hurt my feelings, just makes me try that much harder next time. Either way, be sure to hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell. Thank you all so very much for being here. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.